2, 1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is March the 1st, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Good evening, Carl, and happy Monday to you.
Happy March to you.
Happy March. Crazy, man. It's March 1st already.
I mean, this year is flying by. It is. I don't even know what to think anymore.
It's at this point we are 2 weeks away from daylight savings.
Are we?
Here, yeah, you guys have daylight savings, right? You're not one of the weird provinces?
I think only Saskatchewan's the weird province.
Okay. So yeah, we're only 2 weeks away from that. Spring, the first day of spring is this month.
Can I say though that for the record, I would gladly join Saskatchewan in that. I don't see the need for daylight 100%. Savings.
I agree. Let's get rid of this.
Yeah, this is dumb. Let's just. Yeah. We all know what the time. Do we even need time zones anymore?
Time zones?
Times. Yeah, like you're in the Eastern time zone. I'm in the Mountain time zone. Why don't we just pick one solid time and just go based off of that?
But the sun, the way the Earth turns, it takes a long time. It's daytime here at a different time than it is daytime there.
Yeah, I think it would take a little bit of getting used to. But if there's anything that this year's taught us, it's that we can get used to some pretty interesting things surprisingly fast.
You're right. We can get over a lot of weird things.
Instead of working 9 to 5, if we picked Alberta as the main time zone, Mountain Time becomes the time for the entire world. And I mean, I know that that already exists. It's called Greenwich Mean Time, and we're going to pretend that's not the case. So instead of working 9 to 5, you would work 11 to 7.
This is classic Alberta. They think they're the center of the universe. Classic Calgary over here.
I mean, look, I tried to skew it because we're so used to the Toronto media only talking about Toronto. I just thought I'd take that for a second, okay?
All right, you can have it. Well, I don't want to work till 7 p.m. though. That sounds like a long time.
Yeah, but you don't start until 11.
I'd rather start earlier and end earlier. That's just how I am wired.
So is that how because you work from home even pre-pandemic?
Yeah.
Is that your shtick? Get up early, crush some work, and then see where the day takes you?
Yeah, actually for a few weeks in January, I had to shift my hours because my wife was back at work and we had the baby at home before she started daycare. So I was getting up at 6 and I would put in an hour and a half in the morning before the baby got up. And then I would finish at 3:30 and take the afternoon with the baby. And it was wonderful.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So anyways, what time is it right now?
It is 6:10. And that's the time everywhere. It's 6:10 in the entire world.
Okay, which means we have a whole evening in front of us.
Yeah, let's go.
To talk about hockey.
We've got some hockey news. A few people got fired this week. And we'll talk about that. We're going to talk, someone was angry this week. We'll talk about that. We've got, someone might be traded. We'll talk about that too. But you wanted to share something with me before we got started.
Well, yeah, I got an NHL public relations email today that I thought was quite interesting, and I wanted to know how you were planning on participating in it. Okay, so the league today announced their NHL Fan Skills at Home contest, which is an Instagram and TikTok campaign. First of all, are you on TikTok?
I was on TikTok. I want to say about 2 weeks, and then I deleted it very quickly.
Okay, well, fire it back up so you can double your chances of winning this contest. Submit on both platforms. Basically,
you're already giggling at this thing. I'm very curious at what the NHL has discovered they can use TikTok for.
I'm going to read it to you. The NHL on TikTok is hilarious. NHL Fan Skills at Home directs fans or legal guardians of fans under 18 to submit videos of themselves performing hockey skills of all levels in any one of 5 categories, okay? Number 1 is shootout move. Number 2 is accuracy. Number 3 is celly. Number 4 is trick shot. And number 5 is stick handling. So you submit your video to the NHL and they'll choose winners.
Interesting. What do you got planned?
Well, listen to some of these examples they give, okay? The NHL will fill their feeds with videos of fans shooting pucks through their living rooms, dangling across driveways, creatively incorporating their pets and kids, and other fun videos.
I only want the blooper reel from this. This is all I want.
You want my blooper reel of me shooting pucks through my living room?
I want every shot of a broken window that you create, shooting it from your living room out. I mean, I want to see how many panes of glass can you shoot that puck through? Like, can you start outside on the driveway and try to get it through the living room window, out the back kitchen window, maybe like through the windshield of the car parked in the garage out back?
I will tell you, if I attempt to participate in this contest, I will not be here next week.
Because you'll be winning. Whether
I am kicked out of my house or have hurt myself in some way, I certainly will not be in front of this computer recording with you.
That's fair. Yeah. Wow. I mean, when I think of that, I think the one I'm most skilled for is a celly. But also, like, how good of a celly could you have? Like, what's an award-winning celebration?
Right? I don't know.
Like, I mean, I celebrated loud enough when the Avalanche were playing that late night outdoor game that I woke my wife up and made her watch the goal. Does that count?
Yes. Submit it.
Put it on TikTok.
Throw it on TikTok. Now here's the kicker for this contest though. You want to know what the winning prize is?
Yeah, because I mean it's probably like a gift card to the NHL store.
Lucky fans who share their skills in the month of March will be eligible to have their videos reposted to NHL's Instagram and TikTok accounts. 15 of these lucky fans will continue to be recognized by the NHL on Instagram and TikTok through April 28th.
What do you mean? Like recognize? Like you exist.
15 people are going to win this thing. And those 15 people, their prize is just social media recognition.
Yeah. This might be the worst contest I've ever had.
Terrible. But if you were going to submit, what is your at-home hockey skill?
I've got a really nice saucer pass that I've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't, like, maybe I could, like, I don't know, I could move up to like a full plate, even a platter pass. Maybe I could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, carve a turkey. I would try to use a hockey stick in as many ways as possible in the kitchen.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, my video would be me using a hockey stick to like get stuff from out under the dresser.
So in the past year, I have duct taped 2 hockey sticks together to get down a wasp's nest.
Yeah.
Had to do that. My shovel was in late December, we got so much snow that I could not get out of my driveway, out of my garage, but I backed up and got stuck. And so until I could flag down one of the neighbors, I tried to shovel it out. But my shovel was too big to fit under the car. And so I used a hockey stick to shovel my way out from underneath my car. I think those are the only creative uses of a hockey stick that I've had.
Yeah, I mean, I use it to get stuff all the time. Like stuff that's out of reach or too high. I've cleaned some stuff out of the eaves on my roof before.
Yeah, you don't need this was enough that I needed like a ladder and 2 sticks to reach up that high. And yeah. I think you don't ever need one of those tall grabbers. Just a hockey stick is fine.
Yeah, 100%. I've also used it to wipe snow off my car after a big snowfall because for some reason my mother-in-law took our snow brush out of our vehicle.
As one does.
Yeah, so I used the hockey stick to do that. Not the best tool for the job, but got the job done.
And it's not going to get the fine detail you're looking for, but one fell swoop, that windshield's clean.
Yeah, 100%.
That's good. I like that. I mean, I think we could actually, this kind of leads into a topic that we're going to have. There's a guest that we're lining up for. This isn't what you think it is.
Okay.
No, that is, you'll find out that joke later, maybe, listeners. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe we'll never get there. But this is one we're tweaking our prizes for high-low sticking. And we're going to have on as a guest the creators of these new products that we're going to be doing. So, creative uses for hockey sticks is really what they're known for and they're doing. So, we'll probably have to ask them. Let's write a note to ask them creative uses for hockey sticks.
Yeah, because I'm not done talking about this. So
we've got. I mean, the NHL is going to be spamming us for the next 2 months with 15 people on their Insta. Look, if you want, set a reminder in your calendar. April 29th, refollow the NHL on Instagram. That's what you should go do because no one. Do you follow the NHL on Instagram? I don't believe that I do.
Probably. I not that I can remember. If I do, I don't recognize the posts.
Yeah. Like I follow some players on Instagram.
Yeah.
I follow some teams. But I do not believe that I follow the official NHL account. And this isn't selling me on it.
No, I agree.
Well, here's what the second last post was a picture of Patrick Hornqvist and Sergei Bobrovsky with a witty caption on it. Ooh, here we go, though. We got one of these fan skills at home videos.
Oh, yeah? What is it?
It's someone shooting like discs at the top of the net.
How many of these are going to be plants?
And how many of them? This isn't that impressive. What I'm seeing now. Granted, like this is a kid. If they're doing it and it's only kids, like this guy looks like he's like 12, 13. I don't know, 10. Me at 7 years old, so he's older than 7. But I'm not. If this is for kids, then I feel better about this. If they're giving these 15 things to adults, but also, why do I want to see your Instagram filled with kids? And that's what you're doing is promoting kids' Instagram accounts. I don't want that either. That's a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea. Well, that's why if they're under 18, it has to be their legal guardians who submit it.
I still don't like this. I still don't like it. Anyways, I mean,
okay.
Anyone who's letting a kid like that have a social media account, you know what you're in for.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyways, let's get to some hockey. Montreal Canadiens last week. We talked about their struggles and their difficulties, and they went out and they did the only thing possible, firing Claude Julien and assistant coach Kirk Muller again.
This was the big news of the week. Did you see this coming?
No. This was early last week, was it not?
This was early last week. I think it was after they lost that second game to the Senators.
Yeah, and then they have not won since then.
No, they haven't won before then either.
it's been a stretch. But if there was a team that I would look at and expect to fire a coach, this was not the one.
No, I agree, especially with all the talk about how good they are this year. To start the season.
They really must have bought into those performances that they had against the Canucks were who this team was.
Yeah, 100%. They bought into their performance in those 4 weeks in the bubble in the summer. That's what happened.
They beat the Penguins as a 12 seed and they're like, let's go, fire it up.
Yeah. Then they thought they were good. And we've been saying all season, this team is not as good as they think they are.
Yeah.
They're not.
No, not at all. They've lost. They lost back-to-back against the Jets. They lost 2 games against the Senators.
Woof.
And 3 of the 4 games before that. So of their last 8 games, they have lost 7 of them getting a whopping 4-5 points in 8 games.
Yeah, they were on a slide. I suspect that they'll continue to slide. I would hesitate to rest this solely on the shoulders of that coaching staff. If anything, it's probably on some shoulders a little higher up on the food chain, because I don't think that they have built a strong contending team in Montreal.
This team, they did improve it from last season. Absolutely.
Sure.
But it's not a team that's better than Edmonton. It's not a team that's better than Toronto. It's a team that's going to be fighting with Vancouver, Winnipeg, and Calgary for those last 2 playoff spots.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a team that relies on their goaltender. And you have Carey Price going 5-4-3 so far with an .888 save percentage. Like, this is a beautiful example of coaches living and dying by their goaltending.
Yes. And another beautiful example of why you don't give goaltenders long-term contracts.
Yeah. Carey Price has got to be one of the streakiest goaltenders in the league. It's got to be so frustrating to watch for Montreal fans.
Yes, but also just the last number of years, he's also just not particularly good. Like, he will have a streak of good play, but on the whole, Carey Price has not been good for several seasons since this contract kicked in.
Yeah, so maybe streaky wasn't the right word. I think I meant more inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, you are correct. There are streaks. When he is on, he does have moments where he looks like good Carey Price.
Yeah. When he's good, he's so good.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do that for very long.
But that period doesn't last for a second one. And so you've got that, right? You've got the rest of this team. They brought in, correct me if I'm wrong, Dominique Ducharme.
That's right.
Okay, so Dominique Ducharme brought in as head coach, and this is the one that I love, because you saw who the assistant coach is, did you not? Because Kirk Muller left.
Yeah, I did see. Is it the guy who bites fingers?
It's the guy who bites fingers.
What's his name?
Alex Burrows.
Burrows, yeah.
Alex Burrows as a coach in Montreal.
But was he coaching some minor league team or something?
That's not an excuse.
He speaks French, though.
How long do you think Montreal rides this? We only hire French-speaking people, like not even like French-speaking people, but like Quebecois, like to the bone individuals for like front-facing roles.
It can't go on much longer. It can't go on much longer. Like, would the fan base really be upset if they brought in a coach who didn't speak French but was winning them games?
But won? Yeah.
I think where it would get dicey is with the media. Like, I think the media would just destroy the guy.
Like, let's say, because we both know that he's not doing as well as he could have. Let's say that 2 years ago, Marc Bergevin fired by the organization. And they hired a certain general manager that was a free agent at the time named Steve Yzerman. You've got to be happy about that.
I would be. I'd be writing songs about it.
Yeah. But so I think part of it is, because you said the media would eat them alive. I think part of it is the reluctancy of English only speaking coaches and GMs to go in there and have to, maybe they're not comfortable speaking French. They know that it will be an issue, not being a French speaker. I think that's part of it. But two, they've clearly shown that they have no interest in hiring someone like that.
Yeah, that's true. And it's a problem for them.
And I mean, I think it'll continue. Like you said, it won't be long. I think I mean, I think ownership is supportive of it, right? Like they're part of building that culture in the community, and they want that. But I think fans and the organization have to realize that it comes at a cost.
Yeah, I think the organization has to realize that too. And maybe they have, and maybe they're just okay with it.
I mean, if their goal, theoretically, their goal is to make money. And if they're happy if their goal is to make more money than it is to win a championship, then they can be fine with that. Because, I mean, there are times and opportunities for them to get better coaches. Not to say Claude Julien's a fine coach. He is a guaranteed definite. Like, I'm not saying this to feel like to make it sound like they're getting like poor quality, but it just limits those options. Because if you're thinking, who am I going to bring in as a French general manager, it really limits those choices.
So the last time the Canadiens won the Stanley Cup was in 1993.
Yeah.
Serge Savard was the general manager, former player for the team. So
yep.
Spoke French, I assume. Jacques Demers was the coach. If we're wondering what kind of, I mean, it's probably not fair to compare 93 to now. But, man, I don't know who's left out there from a coaching perspective that's going to carry this team forward. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it is. But that said, Dominique Ducharme has had a lot of success in international and some of those other roles with World Juniors and some of those places. So,
that's where I recognize him from.
That's where you recognize him.
Yeah,
from.
You're right.
So, I mean, I think that they've got a lot going for them. Was Pat Burns was probably the last non-French speaking coach that they had there.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I feel like these teams switch coaches so frequently now. I couldn't even tell you the last 10 years who they had as coaches.
That's fair. Looking at the list of coaches.
Yeah.
Just basing, right? Jacques Demers, and I'm not counting interim coaches. Mario Tremblay, Alain Vigneault, Michel Therrien, Claude Julien twice, Guy Carbonneau, Jacques Martin, and Dominique Ducharme.
Did you say Guy Carbonneau coached that team?
Yeah, for 3 years.
Wow.
You were distracted from 2006 to 2009. It's understandable.
I was distracted by my team winning Stanley Cups, yes.
Yeah, right? You weren't focused on the teams you beat. You just knew you were.
That's right.
So I think going back to there, because you had Pat Burns. I had no idea Scotty Bowman was a coach of that organization as well. So
like in the 70s though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Have you read that book yet?
I was talking with someone today that it might be time for me to read my annual book. You know what? Maybe that's it.
Still sitting on my shelf. I haven't picked it up yet.
Should we both mutually finally 1 year later, after saying we do it, maybe we'll read it.
Is it time?
Maybe it's time.
Okay.
All right. So there we go. Montreal Canadiens, new coaching staff. Interesting. Let's see how that works out for them. This brought me joy this week. Did you see on, what was it, Saturday, the Sharks and Blues game?
I didn't watch the game, no.
So I did turn it on, mostly because it was the late game and everything else had ended. And I tuned in. That game ended, I believe the final score was 7-6.
Wild.
And as you could probably predict, some goalies were pulled in that game. Jordan Binnington got pulled, and we saw Tuukka Rask throw some temper tantrums, but this was a particularly unique temper tantrum because he went after the Sharks players.
Good.
Repeatedly, because he I forget who the first one was. I know Devin Dubnyk was in net for the Sharks, and he tried to fight him on his way out. He just really was trying to do something. I don't know if he was trying to spark the team or if he was just upset and wanted to take his frustrations out on someone, but it was a joy to see.
I don't know if he was trying to spark the team, because there's a clip after where the players are lining up for the face-off and Erik Karlsson's talking to a Blues player and they're just laughing about it. So clearly both players on both teams were like, what a joke. What is this guy doing right now?
Yeah.
It was a pretty spectacular clip. The first player I have it up in front of me now. The first player he goes after on the Sharks bench is number 51. I don't know, he was skating past the bench and then turned around and pinned this guy against the boards. I don't know. They must have said something to him.
I would be shocked if a goalie gets pulled in the middle of a game, skates past the opposing bench and doesn't get a chirp.
And this one just, I guess, got to him. So then on his way across center ice, he's crossing Erik Karlsson and he goes to give him a fake punch, a psych, made you flinch, which is exactly what it looks like he turns and says to him as he skates by.
The only thing better than that is if he had grabbed Karlsson's stick and hit him with it. They're stop hitting yourself.
Stop hitting yourself. And then I guess Dubnyk started saying, what are you actually going to punch someone or not?
According to Dubnyk's words to him were, get off the ice, calm down.
What a nice guy in a situation like that.
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing you could have said.
But just take a deep breath. Deep breaths.
So I didn't see, this was after San Jose's fourth goal, I guess. I didn't see the goal that led to this. I'm going to call it a temper tantrum.
Accurately so, yeah.
But I can't imagine that it was anything that was worth this reaction.
No. There are a lot of things that lead to a lot of reactions, but this was not one of them.
Oh man, it was the best clip to wake up to on Sunday morning.
Well, and his team did win in the end.
And they won in the end, which is crazy. What do you think he said to them when they all came into the locker room?
Which also cycles me back to to answer your question. What do you think he said? I think he'd probably already left. I think he was already back in the hotel.
Do you think when they walked into the room, the table was upside down and the Gatorade was spilt and
yeah,
the laundry basket was turned over and all the dirty jerseys were on the ground? His
jersey's just hanging in the shower. Yeah, I think so. But this cycles me back to last week as well when we were talking about. You had the thing that you said about leaving a goalie in for all those goals. They pulled Jordan Binnington after 4. Devin Dubnyk led in all 7 St. Louis Blues goals that day.
Man. After being that nice to Binnington on the way out too.
They did him dirty.
They did him dirty.
Yeah. So there you go. We've also got, it feels like it's our annual thing at this point in time in the season. The annual, where and when are the Buffalo Sabres trading Jack Eichel to?
So he took the warm-up this weekend, and then he was scratched. He was pulled off the bench.
And now still out.
Hasn't played yet.
Nope.
Any word on, is he hurt? Is this a performance?
So this is not the same, because we had them in the Elimination Station last week. We talked. Jeff Skinner ended up being a healthy scratch for 3 games. This does not appear to be that. According to the team, according to Coach Ralph Kruger, it is an injury. According to Jack Eichel, it is not.
Jack Eichel's telling the truth.
I love that.
So do you think they're working on something with another team?
I would say, I mean, why else would you be scratching him? Like, what in the world has happened that you think scratching your best player is a good idea?
I don't know. Like this is one of those trades that would be so big that I wouldn't even know where to start on what a return would look like for Jack Eichel.
No, exactly.
Like so rarely we see players of this quality moved.
Now, granted, he did say that like he had an injury earlier in the week, but that like he didn't re-injure himself or like hurt anything more ahead of that game. So like he played through it already, and then just I don't know where they decided to scratch him. But yeah, to go back to a return for him, I have no idea because we don't see this ever.
Wouldn't even know where to start on a player like that at his age on the contract that he's on. I mean, his trade protection doesn't kick in till next season, I believe.
Interesting. Okay. So then they could move him wherever they wanted.
They can move him wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted, as long as it's before next season.
Okay. So so 6 more years left, right? This year, and then this is not the thing I wanted. Yeah. 5 more after this year. And so with that being the case, so much term left. And I mean, it's become a joke, the Taylor Hall trade to New Jersey with the return Edmonton got back. But with how few of these trades happen, I feel like for this trade to actually take place, there is no way that Buffalo could get what they need back in return.
Right? That's kind of what I figure too. Like Jack Eichel's kind of what you need on your team.
Yeah.
Because they're not going the rebuild route. They're not, or at least we talked about this last week, but like they're past the time of collecting draft picks and trying to luck out in the top 5 of the draft. Like if they're trading him, they're likely doing it for a piece that's going to help them win now.
Yeah.
But like Jack Eichel is that piece.
Right. You're trading, even if you're trading him for like a lesser Jack Eichel, like a lesser center and some extra pieces around that, your team gets worse.
Yeah. So I don't know what it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes of this. And if it doesn't happen now, does it happen in the off season, at the draft, before the draft?
I don't think it can. I mean, I just, they have to keep him, right? Like they have to find a way to make this situation work out. And what they're doing with him, you know, clearly not happy, right? When he's voicing to the media the fact of like disagreeing with the coach on injury news, that's not at a good spot.
You got to get this guy under control when it comes to public statements. He has way too much leash on what he's saying publicly.
I mean, maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the benching that he's getting. Like, look, Jack.
Could be.
You shut your mouth or you sit. He chose sitting.
So the trade deadline is approaching very quickly this year. Speaking of, April 12th.
Wow.
So we're about 5 or 6 weeks away.
5 weeks away, yeah.
Craig Cousins from The Athletic dropped his trade deadline, his big board this morning, where he listed like, I don't know, 20 players or something. Half of them aren't even worth talking about. But there's a couple things that I thought were interesting in there. One is with the Canadian teams this year, how is timing of trades going to affect the deadline? Like they're saying there might be some trades happening way earlier this year so that they could get that quarantine period in and then get as much playing time closer to the playoffs as possible.
Yeah, I would think you would need to.
So I thought that was interesting. The other interesting thing
before you carry on to that next point, that does make it difficult with like how many teams are there, because you still have so many teams that could convince themselves that they're in it right now. Like if you were to make a trade and like try to get that guy in, you need to do it in the next 2 weeks. And to be able to do that is tough. Because I mean, even you think of the West Division, right? Like the Kings and Coyotes and Wild and like those teams are still gonna still believe that they have a shot and are in it, because as of right now, they do.
So that's interesting, because it kind of touches on my next point that I thought was really interesting that he mentioned in this trade deadline piece is they wrote that, how do I put this? It would be it's going to be cheaper for teams to not make the playoffs this year. When you look at the dollars, there's not a ton of money involved with making the playoffs this year with the way that the attendance is working.
Right. Absolutely.
So they're saying that the money at this year's trade deadline is going to make a huge difference for teams in terms of what contracts they're going after, because most teams have been told by ownership to minimize the massive salaries they take on.
Right. You're not just going to take on a salary because the cap hit is less impactful on a shorter schedule, but
right.
But also there's so few teams that have cap space is another issue.
Also true. So, to your point on the Canucks and the Wild, teams who feel like they might be able to be in it, I think that this kind of financial situation might make a lot of teams like that stop to think like, okay, but like, are we really going to contend for the Stanley Cup? Because that has to be the goal here. It can't just be, let's get a couple rounds in the playoffs, because there's no money in that this year.
Yeah, even because normally, I mean, those two home games, I think they pull in at least a couple million per home playoff game.
Yeah.
Just in attendance.
That's right. So he kind of insinuated that those bubble teams, they may not even go for it this year. They may just call it and see how far they can go with the group that they have.
So this is a situation, I mean, we've seen limited situations. I think of, teams like, the Nathan Horton trade when he was dealt, right? And being able to take on some of those dead contracts back and be able to use some of those. I can't really think of a lot of those out there right now, but that might be really the only way that some of those richer teams can take advantage of this situation.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a really interesting trade season this year. And then the other thing you've got looming is the expansion draft.
Yes, that's still happening this offseason.
Yeah.
So we've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, another Zoom draft.
Oh. Can we at least do that one out? Like, can we have some fun? Can we do it on that giant Ferris wheel in Seattle? Can we live stream it? And each player who gets selected has to climb into the Ferris wheel with their teammates and just go.
Yes. And they have to stay there the whole draft.
Yeah. Like Nickelback comes out and plays a concert halfway through, and they're like, why are we still here? Just keep going.
It's so sad how easy it is to nail the music choices of the NHL. Like, I could so see them choosing Nickelback.
And it's going to be them. I would say Green Day as a joke, but they literally used them last year.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that they could pull the Foo Fighters, but we know that's not happening.
No, Foo Fighters is too cool for the NHL. Didn't they just sign like Fall Out Boy for a Winter Classic a couple of years ago?
Did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fall Out Boy was one.
Look, if you're getting the same people to play your events NHL as they're playing the Grey Cup halftime show in the CFL, you really need to be reconsidering what you're doing. Because that's where Fall Out Boy is at.
It's classic NHL.
Like, hey, they're good enough for Winnipeg outside. They're good enough for us. All right, let's take a break here, and we'll be back on the other side with some Elimination Station and other stuff.
Elimination Station.
Welcome back. It is time for the Elimination Station, where we eliminate a team from the playoffs. I guess to go off of what we just did, right? Talking about how so many teams are still in it. We're still doing this. We're still going to trust that we don't have to pull anyone out. We will not be invoking the Colorado Avalanche rule. But luckily, one of us has been taking detailed notes about the teams we have eliminated. Can you please recap what we have?
Yeah, and I will say, I think our intuition's pretty good. I'm not worried about having to take anybody out of this thing.
No,
So-
the only reason that happened once is because I was in a dark, dark place, and the Avalanche were the only thing to pull me out of it. And so, luckily, we're here.
So here's who we have eliminated so far. We started in the North Division with the Ottawa Senators, followed by the Central Division, the Detroit Red Wings. After that, we went out west and we eliminated the Los Angeles Kings. Then we went to the East Coast and eliminated the New Jersey Devils. And last week, we stuck in the East and eliminated the Buffalo Sabres.
There we go. That is the situation at hand. And you suggested last week that we just continue in reverse order and just snake draft this entire thing division style.
That's right. So we went north, central, west, east. Then last week we did east, which would take us to the west this week, which is good because that's where I was going to go anyways.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking San Jose, the San Jose Sharks, based on their place in the standings.
Interesting.
But on the break, you mentioned another team, and I was like, oh, man.
You were like, all right, we're going out west. And I was like, perfect, good. I literally said what to you?
You literally said, bye, Ducks.
Goodbye, Ducks. So now we've got a pickle on our hands here.
And then I did a face where my jaw was hanging open because I was processing, oh, no, that's not the team I was going. And then you just started the show.
The break wasn't long enough. Next time, we'll go get snacks in the middle.
Look, I don't think either of these teams are going to make the playoffs.
I feel pretty confident eliminating both of them. I mean, we're not going to because we need content for another week. But
so the question is, which of these teams is going to survive longer? Who's going to be in the conversation for longer?
San Jose. Here's why. At the very least, so yes, San Jose has less points. They've also played, they have one less point than Anaheim. They've played 3 games less than them, San Jose has, and they have more wins. They have 7 wins to Anaheim's 6. And I'm just getting a bunch of loser points. Loser points means you're a loser. It means you're in the elimination station.
Agreed. I hate the loser point. Get them in there.
Welcome to the elimination. Man, that is a hard tongue twister for me.
I know, it is.
How come I can get through it every other week and not tonight? Welcome.
You're having a day.
Welcome to the elimination station, Anaheim Ducks. We have now eliminated the entire LA County from the NHL playoffs. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. All you had to do to sell me on it was say loser point. Just for future reference.
Well, good news, because the Kings, who we've already eliminated, more loser points than San Jose as well. Let's play a fun little game then. What team in the league right now do you think has the most loser points? There's a 3-way tie with Anaheim. Can you predict who the other 2 are?
There's a 3-way tie with Anaheim. You just told me Los Angeles has more than them.
No, they have more than the Sharks.
More than the Sharks. Loser points. I'm going to say the Detroit Red Wings.
No, they just have losses. Oof. The Detroit Red Wings have 3 loser points this year.
Okay.
I would focus on this. Think of what teams are performing better in the standings than they are on the ice.
Performing better in the standings than they are on the ice. Man, I don't know. You're making me think about this. Chicago.
Ooh, that's a good guess. They're 1 back. Sticking in that division, Columbus. Columbus has 5 loser points. They have only won 8 games this year and are sitting 5th in that division.
That's crazy. I thought they were going to be good. Minnesota, are they the other one?
The other one is a team we have talked extensively about tonight at being bad on the ice and good in the standings, the Montreal Canadiens.
I wish I guessed that. That's a good guess. That one makes sense to me.
Yeah. When you think of that one through, it's like, oh, sounds about right.
Yeah.
There we go. Welcome, Anaheim. We talked at the start of the season that we liked where Anaheim was in this rebuild that they're on. Do you still feel the same way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just because they're not performing this year doesn't mean that their rebuild's off track. Does it?
No.
Okay.
Certainly not. I think this is where it was kind of expected for them to be. I expected them to be where they are. I actually have been really impressed with a significant amount of what they've been able to do this year. They, as of late, like this last stretch, they've really come back to reality. But the start of the year, they were playing very well.
I mean, John Gibson was on a heater.
Yes.
He looked really good early in the season.
Which is disappointing because you know that by the time the rest of this roster is good, John Gibson's going to be in Carey Price territory.
Yeah, but maybe they'll have another goalie by then that's not 40-year-old Ryan Muller.
Maybe. I do know, names slipping my mind right now, I do know that they do have like a goalie prospect that they're medium high on.
Is it a well-known name? Is it Eriksson Ek? That's the name I know.
Is he a goalie?
Ollie Eriksson Ek.
That sounds good.
You want to play the game?
Finland.
I don't know. Let's find out. Wrong.
Sweden.
Yeah. I realize so cheap when you get it wrong and it's the other one.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 50-50.
Yeah. That one is. I think that's probably the one that you're talking about.
Okay. That's good. So they've got him. They have... Yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. But like a lot of this roster is the guys who are performing are who they want, right? Maxime Comtois leading this team in points, right? 8 goals so far this year, playing really well for someone of, coming into the league. Certainly I look at it was and is expected to come back to reality. He is shooting a whopping 22% this year. So Maxime Comtois either needs to just only ever shoot the puck. No passes for you, sir. But like Cam Fowler, I feel like, I don't know why I feel like it's a bounce back for him, but like I'm glad to see that for him.
I mean, I think on this team, it's a bounce back.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Sam Steele, also a guy who we kind of were looking for him to see what he could do. And he's shown that he's able to really fit in well with this team.
Yeah, and then they've got some really good, like, even younger talent that's coming up, right? Like Trevor Zegras, who looks like he's played a couple games this year.
Yeah, he's spent most of his time in the AHL, and I mean which is okay. He's having a great season down there. From what I mean, I'm not well versed on I think they're the Gulls. I think they're the San Diego
Sounds
Gulls.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not well versed on their season, but from what I understand, he's having a really good one.
So they are in a good spot for the future. It's just the waiting game now, right? But it's also like when you're in the waiting game, you're collecting assets, keep adding to it. So what can they move right now to collect some assets? That's my question.
Not a ton, right? Like there's not a ton of pieces that people, especially if teams are as cost conscious as you mentioned, right? Like Ryan Getzlaf, I'm sure he would be very open. I think he wants to be one of those guys who's like, I played my entire career in Anaheim. But at the same time, if you're like, hey, do you want to go get a cup somewhere? Go get another one. I'm sure he would be open to the idea. But does a team want to pay him what they're going to need to pay him this year?
This is it. Like, what is 35-year-old Ryan Getzlaf worth right now?
I mean, is this the point where you're literally just giving away players to save yourself and the organization money. And it's not a hockey move. It's a money move.
I mean, it makes sense. You could also probably retain some salary on that. You'd probably have to, actually, if you're moving him.
You can retain up to half. So,
up to 50%, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they retain $4 million of that, $4 million for Ryan Getzlaf, something someone would be interested in.
Right? Could be. Now, I just don't think you're getting a huge return on it. Like, if you're doing it, it's A, for the money, and B, to give Getzlaf a chance at a cup.
Yep.
Not going to get a huge return on him.
No.
Now, here's a name that popped up on one of my feeds is Rickard Rakell. Cap hit of almost 8, call it 3.8 million for this year and next year.
Yep.
Former 30 goal scorer. That's one you could probably get a decent return on.
I bet, yeah, that would be one reasonable cost, another year. So on a year when you can make more money, you're able to get that in there. I bet you could get, I mean, that would net you first, I would think.
I would think so too.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
So
make some room in the top 6 for some of these younger guys coming up as well.
Yeah, and like this guy's not going to be around when all these other guys are in their prime. So now's the time to move him if you're going to.
Yeah, I'm down for that idea. There we go. Rickard Rakell. Where's he on Custens's trade board? Is he up there?
He's up there. I'd have to pull it back up. He's number 5. Number 5.
There we go. So there, we identified it. Craig asked us, and we told him number 5 was where he should be.
Yeah, that's what happened. We'll go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's go then. The Knicks Lidstrom of the week, where we do the reverse of the Elimination Station. We lock a team into the playoffs.
I mean, what words can you use to describe 10-time first-team All-Star, 2-time second-team All-Star, 7 Norris trophies, Conn Smythe Trophy, attention to detail, come to the rink every day, he was the best player in practice. Knicks no maintenance. It's about class.
We ran back-to-back times of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they finally got some games in, which was nice.
Oh boy, they won some games too.
They won a lot of games.
I don't think Andrei Vasilevskiy let in a goal after we named Tampa as the team this week.
That might be true. There was, because they won one of the games this week 4-2. Or was McElhinney in there for that?
That was last Monday. We were recording while that game was happening.
No.
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
McElhinney was in net for the 3-1 win.
Well, look at that. Vasilevskiy, have a week. And
I'm just not sure what time we finished recording and what the score was when we finished, but I'm pretty sure that he wasn't scored on once we named them.
His last goal against was in the second period. Let's say that. That was the.
I think it's true.
Sounds about right. That sounds, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's true.
So how long does he keep the streak up?
Oh, they play Dallas again tomorrow. Maybe one more game. That's really giving him a lot of. It's a big benefit for him. I don't think he'll get a shutout again tomorrow.
But if there's anyone I'm betting a shutout on tomorrow, it's him, because he's having a good time. But I mean, that team around him is playing incredibly well.
Yeah, and they've shot right back up the standings. They're top of their division right now, thanks to their performance this week.
Yeah, a 4-win week will do that for you.
Yeah, and over those 4 wins, 15 goals.
They won
15 goals for and 3 goals against.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
They're good.
They're real good. And like winning in, because I think like we expect Tampa to be that team that goes out and outscores everyone, but people need to realize, like, they have Andrei Vasilevskiy in net. They've got Victor Hedman on defense. They've got, some really good other defensemen. Like, I think like Sergachev's back there.
Yeah.
Like, that team is good up and down that lineup.
And they don't even have Kucherov playing.
Yeah. They're 14-4-1 without their best player.
Steven Stamkos, though, is having himself a season.
Yeah. Which I'm glad. I'm happy for that.
I'm so happy for this guy right now.
Yeah. That is very good. So what are you thinking? We got to pick a new sticking Nick's Lidstrom team. This is all you. This is your named segment.
I know, but the problem is, Carl, I haven't been keeping track of it the way I have the Elimination Station.
Okay. The good news is I have.
Okay,
so
excellent.
Here's who we've put in the North, Toronto. In the East, Philly. Yeah. Dallas and Tampa in the Central, and Vegas out West.
Well, I think we should stick with our theme of the West this week.
Okay, let's go back out West.
Okay, a team out West.
I hate you so much right now.
I mean, Minnesota's sitting second place in the division right now, Carl. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, I have several things to say about that.
Okay. Save it for next week. It's got to be Colorado, right? They're the best team out of what's left in that division.
So let me get this straight. You are not picking the 6-win in a row Minnesota Wild.
No, I'm not.
To be a lock for the playoffs.
I'm not. No.
That's good.
Thank you. Well, I'm just checking to make sure Colorado actually has games this week. It looks like they do. It looks like, including tonight,
three more.
Yeah.
San Jose on Wednesday. I mean, we still have time tonight. That game starts 10:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, it's a late one.
So we could even get that game in tonight if we really wanted to. But then they play Anaheim, so we get to combine Anaheim and Colorado and watch those games Friday, Saturday.
It's a cool crossover.
It's like you planned it.
Just like I planned it.
All right, there we go. Colorado is our team of the week, which means head on over to our Twitter and play high-low sticking, where we are going to post the over-unders for each game, and you pick over or under. Maybe next week we'll hand out a prize. Maybe we'll reveal our new thing, because I'm really excited for what we got coming up here. We've got some really cool prizes that are like unique. I know before we'd started by doing like NHL team merch, which I think was still a good idea, but this is better.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I think we should probably get our hands on some of it. Like, it's something I don't have and I kind of want.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, me too. It looks super cool.
So we'll see it. I know that they're interested in coming on, so maybe we'll give them a shout and see if we can make something happen for next week. And then we'll hand something out. So this is going to be your last chance. Hand something out. Maybe we'll do even like an extra giveaway. Who even knows? Either way, head on to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast and pick over or under for every game. I bet these are going to be some pretty high lines. I bet we might even get some 6s for Wednesday's Colorado San Jose game.
I would think so.
I mean, tonight's over. What's tonight's line for San Jose, Colorado? Tonight's line is 6. So there we go. It'll probably still be 6 by Wednesday.
I would think so.
Which is fun. That 4-2 game for the line, that was a 6, and so we had a push. No one won that game.
But you don't bet on those, do you?
No, I don't.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, I mean that's just asking for disappointment. Anyways, head on over there. We'll be playing that this week. It's going to be a good time. You can find more from us at thefourthlinepodcast.com. We're actually the writing team there. Alex, Joe, Mike, and Brody. We talked about Jack Eichel this week. They talked about Jack Eichel on the website. So they did a little roundtable sharing their thoughts on if he will or should get traded by the Sabres. So you can head on over there and get their thoughts for a little more Sabres and Jack Eichel fun. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the Full Press Radio app, and anywhere else you find your podcast. And if like there happens to be some place that you listen and we aren't there, one, not sure how you found us, but thank you. And let us know, and we'll find our way over there for you. So
Please tell us.
yeah, please let us know how you found us, why you listened all the way to the end on this show that you don't know how you randomly stumbled upon. But I mean, I guess clearly it was a good content, Nick. That's what it is.
Well, and now they get to enjoy a song.
You're going to sing us a song.
Carl, come on. Come on.
We'll see you next week.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth On Show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. Does the NHL even know what they're doing with TikTok? We already know they're dumb because they think Nickelback rocks.